All right, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of Three Kings? Happy 25th anniversary for Three Kings. Once again, my name is Scott Nance, and I'm so excited to be here to host tonight's screening of Three Kings on its 25th anniversary. The exact date is October 1st, 1999, is when Three Kings opened. Big thanks to everyone for being here tonight. Big thanks to Landmark Theaters for making this screening series. 1999, the year that changed cinema, happened. So without further ado, let's bring out our panelists. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Ice Cube. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome producer Charles Roven. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome player director David O. Russell. You sit next to me, Carl. All right, so we all sat through this movie tonight, including the three of you guys. Q, what was it like to see this movie again? What struck you about seeing it after so many years?
Just how awesome it is. It's a movie that holds up. Just the style of it. You never know what you're gonna get with the movie. You're on this roller coaster ride, and seemed like some very selfish Americans, out there doing their thing, and then ultimately the guys end up doing the right thing. And so it's just to me, it's what you go to the movies for.
Absolutely.
It's got everything you want in the movie.
Charles Roven, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Roven just won the Academy Award for producing Oppenheimer. So let's get from that. All right, so Chuck, everybody knows Chuck. What was it like for you to see this movie again after all the films that you produced since, including Oppenheimer? How does this hold up?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen this in a really long time, and it's like really a almost new experience for me because you're just so close to it once you see it right after you made it, and it was really actually pretty thrilling.
All right, David O. Russell. David O. Russell, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you all for coming out. For me, I find it exhilarating, most especially the first half. It to me is like cut glass, and I think everybody's so good. You're so good.
Really.
George is so good, Mark is so good, Spike is so good, everybody's so good. Saeed Taboui, who is in Morocco, where he'd be here tonight. So, to me, the movie kind of reflects what's happened in the last 25 years, because the way the world is kind of the way the movie is. It's just like this very ambiguous, weird experience of lacking the clarity of like World War II or something. And it's hard to know if it's comedic or tragic at any given moment. And that's what the movie was like. When this war happened, there had not been a war movie for a long time, and this was a very peculiar war. People forget that there was an Iraq war in '91. It was very odd.
It was fast.
It was fast, and it was like surreal. And so many people didn't see action, as like Spike Jonze's character says. And so, but then it went into kind of syndication, like a TV series in 2003. Like how did it go on for like 15 years or something after that? Yeah. So we didn't know that when we made it. We thought that was it.
Yeah, of course, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
No.
It's amazing how the movie was filmed in it came out in 1999, and when you watch it after 2003. You're listening to the dialogue like McKelty Williams says, if you want another Vietnam on your hands, or you're going like, well, this movie called it. But Cube, I want to know where was your acting career at that time, and when you got the chance to make this movie, what were the big challenges for you to just really bring your A game with this?
At the time, you know, I had done, you know, Boys in the Hood and Trespass and Friday
Yeah.
And, you know, I was really looking for a movie that would, you know, take my career to another level. And so, you know, getting a call that, you know, David O. Russell, which I didn't know much about, you know, but I knew that he was a young, hot director, which I like to work with young, new directors. And, you know, I was having a chance to do a war movie. It's like, oh, damn, like, this is dream come true for an actor to be in a cool war movie. And the first thing he said to me was, there's not going to be a lot of shooting in this movie. So I was like, damn, this is a war movie? It's like, yeah, every bullet count. I'm like, how do you do a war movie where every bullet counts? You know, usually saying, by then you would see, you know, shoot 'em up movies where, you know, thousands of people were killed and thousands of rounds were shot. And here, so I'm like, whoa, this is next level. He's like, yeah, you know, every bullet is gonna check one too. I got it, baby. Every bullet is gonna count. So I just felt like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a whole different, like, next level experience. And so it was being done really. I wanted to take my career to another level, and the movie totally accomplished that. You know, working with Chuck, you know, his super producer, but also working with George and Mark and Spike. It was just everything I asked for as an actor to get a bump in his career, make people look at me in a different light.
Oh, absolutely. I just remember when I did see the film on opening day at the Connection. I just thought y'all, the four of you guys, the Four Kings, really, y'all had just a great chemistry. But David, this is your third featuring, you know, to go from Stank the Monkey to Flirting with Disaster to Three Kings. I mean, this is a really friggin' big swing. What was it like for you to just really swing for the fences, so to speak, with your third movie and take so many risks?
It was a tremendous opportunity, a tremendous gift, and to get to know Charles and Cube and Spike and everybody in the cast, frankly. I think everybody's performance is fantastic. And so for me, it was a huge canvas about a huge historical moment, and I had no idea I would end up, that summer we were cutting it, meeting George W. Bush, who did not have the nomination yet to become president, at the head of Warner Brothers' house. And when I shook his hand, I thought, I'm going to tell him something interesting. I said, I'm making a movie that's going to question your father's legacy in Iraq. And while my hand was still in his hand, he said, we're going to go back there. And that's before 9/11 happened, right? So he had a personal thing. So I feel like the movie weirdly is part of history in some way. And so it was a privilege to get to be part of that history of what it was like in '91 when I was at Sundance watching it on TV, and we didn't want it to happen. We thought, no, don't start. Why are you starting a war? Don't start a war. We didn't, about Kuwait, what is this about? And we met many special forces people, Charles and I, in our research, who cried and felt that they didn't, like as George Clooney's character did, they were frustrated, they did not understand what was accomplished. They wanted to do more. And then it was such a weird world that George W. Bush did do more, and his father, H.W. Bush, turned out to be correct, that it was a quagmire like Vietnam. And so it was just a huge topic. It still is a huge topic.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah.
So Chuck, I want to ask you, at that time, 1999, Warner Brothers especially had a great year in terms of the quality of the movies that came out that year. In addition to Three Kings, you had The Matrix from March 31st. You had The Iron Giant which was August
Brad
6th.
Bird,
Yeah, right. Brad Bird did a great job with
The
that.
Maker, before he made The Incredibles, yeah.
And also another big
We were
swing.
mixing on 2 stages next to each other at Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and then Eyes Wide Shut, that was a biggie. But in terms of the producing
The
challenge,
last movie of Stanley Kubrick.
what's that?
The last movie of Stanley
The Stanley
Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all in 1990. There are more great movies that you forgot about in 1999 because this weekend after weekend, sometimes 2 or 3 movies at a time. But Chuck, I want to ask, like, in terms of up to that point when you worked on Three Kings, what were the new challenges for you? And what were the unique challenges that still stick out for you 25 years later, even when you were, when you take on a big movie like Oppenheimer? What really sticks out to you producing Three Kings?
Well, I mean, every movie has its own challenges, and one of the things that we had to figure out how to do was, where were we going to make it? Because it's amazing to me that you take a look at the production and the production design of the movie, and we shot the movie in Arizona.
Catherine Hardwicke is a great genius.
Casa
And she became an amazing, Casa Grande, Arizona. And she became a great director who made 13 and many other great pictures, Twilight. And she was the designer on the picture. And she created this whole village that was there for many years.
It was amazing that that's one of the things that, because it brought back the memory about how real it all looked, right? It just really had it felt like it was really happening, you know what I mean? And of course, some aspects of it really did happen. So we had a lot of help, and we had a lot of challenges, and David had never really made an action movie before. Well, that's true. You
This
have.
is my only action so far. Yeah.
So far, yeah.
No, the action was cool. You can
And
tell
every
I-
bullet did count,
Yes,
but.
yeah. Because there wasn't that much action in the war, that 91 war. Yeah.
Every bullet does count. Like when you're at the bunker and things start to get out of control, the way that each shot is fired and you hear it go into the person, and the way that it's sort of the slow motion, every bullet actually really does count. And Cuba, I want to ask, like, what kind of preparation, physical training did you do for Three Kings? And how did the movie actually push you to your limits physically and emotionally?
I mean, we definitely had to
That was Q's
hire.
question. That was Q's question.
Go for it, Chuck.
What did Q say?
You want to try this one?
I got it.
You
Just,
guys did a training thing.
we they had us working out with special forces, and we went on a hike, and they jumped out and ambushed us. All the shit we learned, we forgot in 30 seconds. So it was great. Just
Did you also practice shooting? And all
yes,
that?
all that. We went on a patrol, and you walk in and shit is pretty boring. You carrying this heavy ass gun, you just walking in the desert, and dudes start popping out shooting at us. It's like, oh shit. It got the adrenaline going, let you really know how it feels to some of the guys out there. A lot of time goes by, and then there's action that pops out of nowhere, and so really had us understanding what the guys are up against and how to keep your head, try to keep your training, and I think it was extremely helpful. But we shooting a movie, and I'm like, we get to the part where the cow blows up and shit, and I'm like, okay, this is a crazy war movie. And then we're in milk and shit, this milk truck comes and we spewed out
All
milk.
true stories, all true stories.
I'm like, David, what kind of movie we making, man? He's like,
A David Russell movie.
Yeah, it's like,
But those are all,
trust me, it's
those
gonna be the shit. And I'm like, oh,
100, dude, go ahead.
yeah, you know, it was it was a situation where I learned a lot from David, because you had Chuck saying, "Hey, David, we gotta go," and David, what I learned from David was, don't move the camera till you got the shot. You know, just don't move the camera till you feel like you got it, because do all this preparation, and on the day you have to get it in the can, and don't move that camera till you get it in the can. And I think it's important for directors to understand that, because when you get in the edit bay and you don't have it in the can, you're hurting. Now you're like, oh damn, you don't have it. So, I learned a lot from watching both of these guys work and come up with a brilliant film. Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Is Robert Lambert, is that Robert Lambert? No, you're not Robert Lambert. Okay, Robert Lambert is a great editor, and he edited the movie. I thought he might be here. You look like Robert Lambert, so.
One of the standout scenes in the film is the interrogation scene between Saeed Taghnawi and Mark Wahlberg. Would love to ask about the filming of that scene. How many takes did you all have to do, and how great are both of those guys in that scene?
They've been friends to this day, Mark and Saeed. And Saeed had won the prize in Cannes for a movie called La Haine about the race riots outside Paris. And this artist named JR, who became a friend of mine, made art about that riot that became like, it's epic to this day. He lit the Olympic torch in Paris. So Saeed is from Paris and Morocco. Mark and him became very fast friends. We had a lot of fun on the set, actually. So they became friends. They both, the three of us did with Cube as well, and Spike. I remember that scene was very intense, though. We knew that was a very dark scene, and that was where the Iraqis were going to make their points about the oil and what was the war really about? And wasn't it about how can you talk about morals? Are you on the one hand moral, or are you just about resources? Which America are you? And so that's what the scene is. And I thought both actors were fantastic.
Well, Saeed Taghnawi wanted to be here, and he couldn't be here because he is in Morocco, but he's very, very proud of this movie, and we have a message from him that he taped so you all could see it, so we would like to show that to you right now. So thumbs up on Saeed Taghnawi's message, and here we go. Takes a few seconds because it's from Morocco, you know?
Mark is shooting.
So, from where to start? I'm so afraid to forget something, and it was such a deep, maybe the deepest experience that I ever had. I was an up-and-coming guy from France, just a young actor who had a chance to do a movie called La Haine, The Hate, about the kid and the ghetto in France. And thanks God, David O. Russell was a cinephile, and he knew about that movie. And I knew about David O. Russell because he was this king underground director in New York with movies like Sparking the Monkey or Flirting with Disaster. So I used to be a big fan. So I received a phone call, and they said they were looking for an actor to play a very specific role, an Iraqi captain. And I took the chance. So what I did, crazy, I was so young, I just jumped on the plane, I paid my own ticket, get to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles drive all the way down to Phoenix, Arizona, and then to Casa Grande. And I met David. I couldn't speak a word of English at the time, and the casting, I think it's on the bonus DVD, was just magic. So long story short, he gave me that part. And he gave me one of the biggest opportunity of my life, because this is basically the beginning of my American international career. And what I did last night is I rewatched the movie, and oh my God, honestly, this movie, it's something special. It's like a little masterpiece, especially with what's happening right now politically all over the world. This movie is like a satire. It reminds me of movies like MASH, but with a very, very deep understanding about the situation and seriousness about the situation. Behind the funny side of the movie, he's talking about a very, very essential subject, and he's doing it with a lot of cinematographic elegance. So yes, for me it was a blessing to meet David. Maybe one of the best, I mean, for real, best creative director that I had a chance to work with. And what a cast. We were so young, everybody. What a beautiful cast. Ice Cube, Mark Wahlberg, Spike Jonze, Jamie Kennedy, Nora. I mean, just name them. Everybody was amazing. And yeah, just blessed to be part of that beautiful human adventure. And obviously we all became very good friends. David is a mentor to me. Mark became beyond a friend. He's like family, like a brother. Cube, my God, always treat me with so much love and respect. I remember I was by myself at the time in America for the first time, and I had to stay for the 4 months of the movie. So Cube used to take me also back to LA and take me to some basketball games. So what a beautiful introduction to basketball. So Cube, respect for life. A special touch to Chuck Roven, because Chuck also was somebody so essential and a hell of a producer. I think he's one of the best producers in the world when it comes to movies. Ed McDonald at the time. I mean, I can mention, I know I'm forgetting so many people, so please forgive me, but I wanted to do this video for you guys to express my respect, my love, and my gratitude. Because you know, sometimes in life there is you meet people who change your life. I wish I could have been there with you guys, but Three Kings is something very, very, very special in the movie industry. The deepest gratitude. So yeah, thank you again.
Wow. Wow. All right. What do you remember about those basketball games?
You know, we had some pretty good ones. You know, we played after we shot. You know, they cleaned out this old church or high school or something. I remember we would go in and the floors it was this much dust
when
on
we
the
were in
floors.
Arizona.
Yeah, we would go in.
It was like an
and
abandoned school. It was an abandoned school gym. We all played basketball in there.
Yeah.
George and everybody.
Everybody, we would go fall out afterwards, slip and slide on that floor.
This man has an amazing jump shot. I was
Yeah,
very
I do.
impressed. Yes.
Thank you, man. I heard that. Yeah, I took Saeed to a couple Laker games, which was cool. You know, gotta show love to out of towners by taking them to see the Lakers for sure.
There you go.
For sure.
Chuck, I want to ask about the cast. Like when you see, like, you know, David's dailies and you're seeing the film being shot. What was your take on how George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Cube, Spike Jonze, like really gelled, really elevated each other?
Well, you know, it was so different because, you know, Mark had not been in a lot of movies, you know, and Spike, he had never done anything even close to this, right? And, you know, as Q was saying, he wanted to do something very, very different, and David was doing something very different, so it was a very unique, interesting experience. And to be honest, you know, I had never made a movie like that either, right? I had done a number of different kinds of movies.
Including City of Angels with Brad Silberling.
Yeah, who's here tonight? But every day was always something new and interesting, and you know, David would come up with things that we didn't necessarily plan before we started to shoot, but it was always worthwhile. And we tried something completely different with the cinematography, and we did this what was it called, Kodachrome reversal or something like that? I can't.
It was very scary to Warner Brothers, and we tested it, and we did two things that were very trippy, but now everybody can do them on their phone, so I don't know how impressive it is. But,
Ectochrome. It was Ectochrome reversal.
Ectochrome is actually a regular.
Which was basically a still camera film, okay? And we used it, I don't think it's ever been used again, right? This was before you were able to do all that great stuff in your color correction, right? And that's why it has this really interesting look, and the colors are so interesting. So it was a really great experience from beginning to end, because it was always a fresh day, and something crazy would happen, and most of the time it worked out that it was crazy good.
So David, like, because of your approach to making the film with this cinematography and trying different things and maybe improvising a little here and there, like, when did you start to feel it coming together? And when did the studio, Warner Brothers, start to feel like they had something really special in their hands?
I think they loved the first cut that they saw. I remember seeing Lorenzo di Bonaventura, who greenlit the movie, walk out of The Matrix, and we were there to ask him to do something for our movie. And he was so freaked out by The Matrix, I tapped him on the shoulder, and he like jumped like this. And they loved the picture when they first saw it. That's how I remember it. I just felt like we were a good group right on the set right away. I remember I used to wear tight black Levi's then. And Cube said, "Your pants are so tight I can read your credit card number through the pocket." And I said, "Well, what do you want me to wear?" And him and Mark got me like these baggy, cool contemporary pants, and I wore them, which they got a kick out of. And I never met anybody like Ice Cube, who I wrote the part for, really.
Oh, wow.
And I wrote the part for Spike also, who had become a friend of mine. We tried to make Harold and the Purple Crayon before that, and which finally got made, I think. Yeah. And I'll never forget, you taught me something very special. If I taught you something, you taught me something very special, because you're such a focused person. I mean, Straight Outta Compton tells your story, which is such a beautiful movie, which you produced, and your son starred in it. So even if I had anything to do with the eventual realization of that, I'm proud, because that's such an amazing movie by F. Gary Gray and all of you. And, yeah. But
That was #1 for 3 weeks in a row in the summer of 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty damn good. Awesome. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very proud. Definitely learned a lot from these two guys.
Here's what I wanted to say. So we were sitting in the lobby. The only place you could hang out was the lobby of the Holiday Inn, which was the only hotel in Casa Grande, which is in the middle of nowhere. And Cube was eating some tacos from Taco Bell. And I was watching him for about 10 minutes, because there wasn't a lot to do on a Saturday. And he was squeezing the insides out and just eating the wet tacos. And I watched him do this, and I said, "Can I ask you a question? Why are you eating the tacos like that?" And he said, "That's what makes me me." I think that says everything.
I wanted to ask about the mill scene. I'm guessing you only had like one shot to get that scene right, where the truck comes in and the mill goes everywhere.
Oh yeah, well, I think we had 2 takes.
2 takes?
And they had to make it enough milk so that it would incredibly knock those guys over. That's a true story I was trying to say before. I didn't mean to cut you
He's
off.
talking about when the cow blows up.
Are you talking about the milk, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about both of them though.
Yeah, talk about- yeah,
So the milk was for real,
Yeah.
because they would bomb things that were sometimes the wrong things. So they'd be trying to give people food because the people were starving, and then they'd blow up a milk truck or something like that. So that I said, okay, I'm going to use that. And then there's also, there'd be this weird landscape. It was the first war that was in color. So that was very saturated in the newspapers, these color saturated pictures. And there was no digital newspapers then. And there was a cow roaming in the landscape, and there was mines everywhere and ordinances everywhere. So animals would just walk and wander and then get blown up. So I thought, okay, we'll turn that into a scene where these guys are practicing, and this seems like a harmless cow that's just there randomly because of the war, and then blows up because it's surreal, because the whole experience was surreal. War is a terrible, surreal thing.
So, just last question really is, after seeing the movie again tonight here on the big screen for the first time, how many by show of hands are seeing the movie for the first time, period?
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
What did you all think?
Oh, that's great, thank you.
Right on, yes. So, how proud are you of Three Kings?
Oh yeah, this is one of my proudest movies because, like I said, it was a pivot in my career, and just it's so unique. And when I look at all my films, this is one of the most unique films. One question I like to ask David is, what gave you the courage to make it funny, to have humor throughout a subject matter, so intense, like a war? To me, that shows, this is his third movie. It's an action movie, it's a war movie, and he's adding comedy to it. So, like, what made you want to approach it that way?
Yeah, what made you want to find that tone, that satire tone, make it funny as well?
I think because the situation was absurd, and people get thrown together who normally wouldn't be together, like all the characters in the movie, and they say the things they would say to each other. So you would tell him to shut up, and he's a cracker, and you would tell him what the right insults were and what the wrong insults were. Because I was taught by all the soldiers, Charles and I met, that this is how they referred to the enemy. And you would say, yeah, this is cool to say, this is not cool to say. Debating over the war was, the landscape was littered with all this stuff that was stolen from Kuwait. This like an American consumer orgy. So the idea that these Americans would go like on The Price is Right or something, and you guys would argue about like stuff like an Infinity or a car, just presented itself to me. That people would be focused on these things in that atmosphere. Because after that war ended, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened, and that's why I look at the movie in the 4 days after the war ended.
That's a great question. That's a really good question. Yeah.
I don't know if this
You're
is
on.
still working, but is this still working now?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, the real reason is that's the way David looks at things. That's the beauty of David Russell.
Charles, Charles it was amazing for me to meet Charles. The day I met him, it was a very emotional year for me. So the emotion that went into the movie was very emotional because one of my children faced a very serious health issue, and I was very emotional about that, and that went into the movie. Like Saeed and Mark talking about their kids. And when I met Charles, his wife, who was the first woman to run the studio, Dawn Steele, was amazing. And his daughter was 11 when Cube came over to meet us at your house, and now she's like helping to produce Wonder Woman and other movies with you. And your wife had just died, and so I could barely not cry talking to Charles. So all that emotion went into the movie, and Charles helped us with multiple drafts at his office, which was this beautiful Art Deco building on Sunset, where John Huston and everybody, Billy Wilder used to play cards in that place. It was the Paul Conner Agency, your old building.
Oh my God, yeah, we had the safe with the furs in it.
How proud are you, David, watching the film?
I think the film takes a lot of chances, and it's very visually beautiful. It's very confident in every performance, and the way it's cut is very confident. So I feel proud of the risks that it took, and everybody who's in it, everybody I got to know. Because of Charles, getting to know Charles, I got to make American Hustle. I'm going to make another movie with Cube, that's guaranteed. And we get to be friends. And we're writing one right now for him. And also, I got to be friends with Mark. That's how I got to do The Fighter. And Spike became a lifelong friend. So many gifts, and Saeed as well. So there's a lot of gifts that come out of it. You just got to take what you're grateful for.
Well, thank you all for taking the big risk. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stacey Wiley.